morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, to my fitness fraternity, sending positive vibes and energy here on a superb Sunday morning in sensational Sydney, Australia. We are 3 weeks out from the WBFF Sydney Show, and I am here at City Gym. We are having a WBFF posing workshop. All the intricacies inherent in the WBFF judging criteria are going to be covered, and we're going to be working with some of the amateur athletes who are stepping on stage in 3 weeks' time.
Who's doing Cindy? Wow, this is going to be a great show. Wait!
Perfect.
I am here with the absolute, he's actually a machine, the Terminator, Jack Pennington, 3 weeks out, first competition, muscle model category. The reason I call you the Terminator, he just enters the hurt locker. You're a glutton for punishment. You love the pain.
I love it, mate. It's the dark zone. I love it. I was built for it.
So Jack's come over. He was actually heavily involved in rugby and actually sevens rugby at one point last year.
Rugby, yeah.
And so we've had to take him from the functional strength and conditioning aspect of a formal sport like that and throw you into the aesthetics. But
the aesthetics make everything pop, I guess. It's a bit harder than just cleaning and doing all the rest of the deadlifts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
So it's actually sort of been a pretty phenomenal experience because you actually do love being put in the hurt locker. I'm the type of guy that, you know, usually I'm conscious that some clients, especially when they're in a deficit, are probably going to struggle with recovery. And if I make the training program too problematic in terms of, you know, volume or intensity or other overreaching things, they may struggle to recover. This man
asks for more.
asks for more. We're doing drop sets, supersets, trisets. We're doing a variety of different things that I would never subject anyone to unless I really dislike them. But I do love this man because he is looking phenomenal. How good is that?
It's all about the fun, isn't it? Fun and games. 3 weeks out.
Show us a couple of poses here, Reese. Show us the back. Show us the back. See this? I wish I had this back.
What do you reckon, guys? This is about it. Can't show too much off.
So we'll see him in 3 weeks' time, muscle model category, Chatswood Concourse. Very proud of him up until this point, but watch this space. Yeah, Vizia, is there others?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we're just getting the very first photos back from Brooke's shoot. When was that?
Yesterday.
Only just yesterday, Brooke's first photo shoot. And if there's one piece of advice I can offer any competitor, the stage is only one aspect. Stepping on stage for a competition is only one thing. You want to be able to capture that moment and this condition, you know, with every opportunity you can. Yesterday, first photo shoot, how was that? Where was it?
It was at Coco Beach.
Yeah.
It was the best experience of my life, and like when I just opened my phone to see that, I was like, oh my god, that's me. That's me. I just never felt like that, so it was honestly so good. It was a real good confidence boost, and it just makes me so excited for show day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got 3 weeks now, and how are you feeling?
Good, but tired.
Tired.
Definitely tired. You know, it's a long journey. It doesn't happen overnight, but I love it. I love every step of the way. I've met so many amazing people. Couldn't have done without your help. Honestly, wouldn't be.
I wouldn't go that far, but we have been working together since this time last year, really.
About a year, yeah.
So it's been about 12 months, and when we first started, honestly, competing wasn't even on the radar.
No.
I think we were focusing as much on just getting into healthy habits, routines, and more the psychological aspect, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think once we had that in check, we had a heart-to-heart in Chatswood last year, actually. It was like November or December.
Yeah, I think it was December.
And we made the commitment, and now we're here, 3 weeks out.
It all happened. We did it.
Watch this space, Brooke's very first show, bikini category, WBFF Sydney. Can't wait to see her on stage. today. Ben, the man, Abstacker, 7 weeks out. How are you feeling after doing that posing workshop?
Feeling really inspired, actually. It's really good to see in a federation where, as a pro athlete, you can give back to the amateurs. If I look back to my preparation for last year's October show, I sat in that seminar, watched someone like yourself talk, and was very inspired. It was instrumental to my prep in gaining a good understanding of what they're looking for to become the champion and a pro.
Yeah, it is one of those things where you sort of need to learn the intricacies and interpret the judging criteria, and I think that 1 hour Q&A sort of alleviated anyone's concerns, or if there was anyone who was wondering, what are you looking for in terms of physique requirements, but then also such a critical component is the posing requirement, which we went over with some of these guys, and some great rigs and a lot of potential there, but it's not just the physique that you have, it's how you showcase
That's
it.
right. It's 100% correct. You could have the best physique on the day, but if you put the garage door down on the Ferrari, I can never see the Ferrari.
Yeah.
So it's all about lifting that garage door up. It's about the stage presence, the camaraderie on stage that you show too, because WBFF is one of those federations where, yes, it is an individual sport. Yes, you are against each other, but what they want to see is people that uplift the crowd, uplift each other.
Inclusiveness, and I think that sense of community which differentiates the federation from other competitors is so crucial, and it's those intangibles that Ben's speaking about, which often you don't really see when you're scrolling through. You scroll through Instagram and you look at these physiques in terms of the photograph, and you go, geez, they look amazing. But you wonder, how did that person place over that person? And a lot of it comes down to those intangibles, the posing, the camaraderie, the charisma, sort of that marketability aspect, which can be very often difficult to sort of tie down. But if you go to enough shows and you go to and attend enough workshops where you're listening from the judges, it starts to break down that ambiguity, and you start to sort of get a better, greater sense of clarity on what's required of you. And no doubt you would have done a lot of that research yourself. I mean, 7 weeks out from WBFF Worlds, you competed and won your pro card.
That's right.
In October last year. What have you been doing during the off season, physique development-wise?
Really good question. So even though I was able to win that show and win my pro card, I think it was 2 days later I put pen to paper and I wrote down what I could have done better and the weak points of my physique. And I wrote out a list of things I can improve and things I can do that through a calorie surplus. So putting a little bit of mass, getting a little fluffy, and having a really productive off season. So, I put on 16 kilos in 16 weeks and brought up, the lats, the delts, the arms.
It shows. Man, you are looking large and in charge.
Yeah, so I realised, the pro competitors on the world stage, they're a bigger class of physique. They're more conditioned, so the bigger I am leading into it, I can just push that cut so much harder. And I'm really going to fucking tighten the screws.
All right, excellent. So, I mean, if there's any take-home message that a competitor or athlete should take away from Ben's experience is, once you finish up a show or a competition, you need to evaluate your performance, evaluate your physique and how you went, including posing and that, and then set yourself a new goal, but also in line with that goal is, what do you need to rectify, what do you need to resolve, and being objective about it. I know Ben's his own harshest critic when it comes to those sort of things, so it's very exciting to see what will be in 7 weeks' time in the Bahamas. Watch this space. Ben Abstacker in the Fitness Model Pro category.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, guys.
Head honcho, Pauline. She's the head judge of WBFF Australia. She's flown down from the Gold Coast to do this wonderful workshop. And how many people showed up today?
Amazing turnout. I think there was 80 people here,
Massive.
give or take. So it was a really good turnout. Growing from each workshop to workshop.
And you've been doing workshops in all the other capital cities really as well.
So mainly Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast. Hopefully for the next round of workshops leading into the pro show, it will be in South Australia as well.
Excellent. And I think the whole purpose of a lot of these workshops, you see a judging criteria that you read online, and as you read through it, it can be very much open to interpretation. So I think the best thing about these workshops, and basically hearing from the horse's mouth, that, you know, this is what we want, this is what you can interpret from the judging criteria and what that actually means. And we had a 1 hour Q&A at one point, just going through absolutely everything. So I think one of the questions that did come up, and I think would be of interest, is, you know, people want to be involved in the WBFF, but they're not quite sure where their physique stands in the grand scheme of things. So, like, for instance, female competitors, they're wondering, am I bikini, am I fitness, how do you determine or differentiate?
So firstly, if I was going to compete, I would attend some shows. I would look at the show results and look at the people that you've seen online winning the shows, and ultimately look to the pros. Who are the pro world champions or the winners of the pro shows? Because ultimately, don't you want to turn pro and be on that pro stage? So that's your ultimate goal. But in the meantime, look at the people that are winning the current shows. Come to a workshop if you're quite borderline between categories. At the workshop, we've got the pros, we've got myself and Ari that can give you some feedback on that. So come to the workshops, we can give you some tips on that.
Excellent. So I mean, when it comes to the sort of the physical development, you may be appropriate for bikini, or you may be too hard in terms of the level of conditioning and the rounded shoulders, and that's probably where you're probably more appropriate to fitness. And coming to one of these workshops or seeking out the guidance and counsel of a pro may be able to break down any of that ambiguity, but you also do have those photos of the pros that are winning the World Championships, which can be of benefit as well.
And it could be mainly for the girls, not so much for the guys' categories, but for the girls, you could be someone who's bordering the more muscular side of bikini, but not quite as muscular and lean as fitness. So in that instance, it could be down to posing, so how you pose. So making sure your shoulders don't look too overpowering to sit still in the bikini category. So posing can change all of that. It's a big component.
So what's one of, like, when it comes to when you're sitting as a judge, you're in the front seat, and you see all these athletes step on stage, obviously there are some phenomenal physiques out there, but where do you feel people may fall short, no matter how wonderful they look?
Definitely stage presentation and posing. So sometimes we've got a category with 30 plus people in it. What's going to make the judges notice you in that sea of people? So it's how to hold yourself, to have confidence, to smile, to present your body the right way. Because if you've got the best physique on stage and you can't display it, we can only judge what you're showing us.
Right. So if it is your very first time, you know, being involved in the WBFF, perhaps you've never competed before, if you have competed with perhaps another federation, there's huge differences in the way in which you present your physique. So whilst there might be some similarities between federations in terms of the level of conditioning or muscularity, there are certainly some significant differences in terms of the way you actually present yourself, which you'd want to come to a workshop or attend a show to just have that clarity.
And I think what makes WBFF so different is that we don't have the standard quarter turns. So we have the different posing. It's more what suits you. So showing your strengths, hiding any weaknesses you have. We don't have strict quarter turns. It's what suits your physique. And that's what makes it so different. And we do see at many shows, we can see what federation someone has come from because they haven't worked quite enough on the posing.
It's more rigid with that pose, whereas you know, I really enjoy it as an athlete.
Bring your flair to the stage.
Just give me the freedom to showcase what I want. And I suppose one last question I had was, you know, people that are watching from the outside in, what is probably one of the biggest misconceptions people might have about the WBFF?
Definitely the biggest misconception is that social media popularity has a part of the judging, which it doesn't. It definitely doesn't. And we always say time and time again, a big example was Rachel Dillon placing first in a show, was just a small town girl from Townsville. Lauren Simpson came third, and she was quite a social media popular person at the time. So if we were judging on social media popularity, it would have been the other way around. And some of our judges don't even have social media. My husband being one of them, he wouldn't know whether you're on social media or whether you've got millions of followers on there. So on the day, the competitors are a number on a sheet for the judges. So they don't know your name, you are just a number. So that is the biggest misconception. And I see, you know, show promoters even from other shows saying, oh, WBFF judges you on your social media, and it's so not true.
Especially, I think
can't stress it
well,
enough.
it's the interpretation of, when you actually read the criteria, and it's the interpretation of the word marketability. And I think often people go, oh, social media marketability.
Yes.
And it's, well, to be perfectly honest, when I was doing competitions in 2012, before social media had such a big, presence within the fitness industry, marketability meant, could you feature on a magazine? Would you be a suitable representative for, a supplement brand? It was more a case of, do you have the potential
Yes.
to actually be a role model within the fitness industry? So it's not one of those things where you're validated through followings and likes. Some people might be at the very outset of their fitness professional career, like Rachel was, and through her involvement with WBFF has obviously gone from strength to strength, and look at her now.
I know, amazing.
So there's so much opportunity there, and I think it's great to know that you're looking at the potential of the athlete,
Definitely.
and not looking at likes and follows. So I think that's an important thing to take away from it.
Yeah, and that's definitely right. The marketability, what you said it is can we put you on a show poster
Yes.
as yourself? Can you be on a magazine cover
Yeah.
as yourself? Be sponsored by a company.
Yeah. It is really that, when you look at it, yes, it is a physique show, and yes, you will be marked on that. But it is important to look at the things like it is a fitness model or a muscle model or a fitness diva competition. It is not strictly looking at your physique alone. There are a lot of intangible characteristics which can be difficult to define at times, but if you go to enough shows and you see the results, you can see a consistent trend across the board. And if you do have any issues, problems, questions, queries, concerns, you know where you need to go, and it's to one of these workshops to get the clarity and basically hear from the judges and the higher ups of what they're actually looking for, and then you can walk into a show, step on stage with all the confidence in the world that you're going to bring your best in line with what you guys want.
Yeah, definitely. And work with the pros. Work with whoever is your coach, knows your body, but when it comes to the posing and the stage presentation, you've got to go to a pro because they've been there, they've done that, they know our style of posing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there's many opportunities, guys. Make sure you come to a workshop. Pauline and Ari now need to fly up to the Gold Coast. I think you've got a flight in an hour.
Yes.
So
We'll be running.
It's a bit of a fly-in, fly-out situation,
Yeah,
but
yes.
Pauline, thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
coming
Robbie.
in today.
Thanks for your help today.
Really appreciate it. Well, how good was that? An incredible opportunity to speak to some of our amateur athletes in the lead up to the WBFF Sydney Show, answer all their questions, provide them with a little bit of boost in confidence, impart some words of wisdom. And I think the best thing about going to these workshops, especially when you're 3 weeks out, is to just give yourself that sense of assurance before you step on stage. So good to have Pauline and Ari fly down from the Gold Coast specifically for this event, and I can't wait. 3 weeks time, Chatswood Concourse, WBFF. Be there.